Good morning, good day, good evening, and good night, everybody. This is Dustin here with another tutorial for you. Today, this tutorial is going to be a clutter tutorial. Normally, clutter is not a good thing, but in a Sims house, it is everything. I'm just going to show you guys a couple quick tips and tricks on how to do some clutter here. First thing you're going to do is pull up your cheat entering. So hit Control-Shift-C, and then you're going to want to type in testing through, and then you're going to want to do bb dot move objects. All right, these are necessary for this, so make sure you have those codes entered. What I went ahead and done here is I've went ahead and placed some clutter items out for us, some of the ones that I commonly use. Some of them you may notice are not actual clutter items, such as things that go on these types of shelves or on mantles or so and so, but they can be used with this tutorial. I also have done the same thing for the kitchen. The kitchen is usually where I get a lot of questions from people about, how did you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? So that's what I'm going to tell you right now on how to do. So let's start over here with this end table here. I like to have a lot of things on my end tables, and the game only slots about one thing in the center if you're using a lamp, and then you really can't get anything else on it. So I prefer to do this method so I can do multiple things. Like for instance, I'll show you guys right now. There's that. Okay, so you have that lamp on there. Now, if you're going to put these magazines on there, it's going to put them right in the center. But with this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your lamp on there like that. And so it's clipped onto the table. Then what you'll do is you're going to want to grab the table and move it from the location that you're wanting it to be permanently. So we'll pretend this square right here is where it's going to be permanently. Say there's a couch right here or over this way or what have you. So what you'll do then is after you move the table away, you'll take your lamp, which is sitting on the table. You need the items to sit on the table so you can get the height of the items. Then what you'll do is you will hit Control, grab that, and then see, now you can press this anywhere you want. And sorry about that, Alt, not Control. All right, so this normally would snap right here to the middle of this table. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it back to the edge a little bit, so that way we'll be able to put multiple things on the table. Now these magazines, we want them on the table as well, but we're going to put them on a lower shelf. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Then we are going to place these tissues right here on the table. You'll want to snap them onto the table like this so you get them the correct height. Then you'll press your Alt key. Then you'll drag them right over here right next to this lamp. And they're at the correct height for the tabletop. So see, now the table will snap underneath there and you have multiple items of clutter on the table. Another thing I like to do is I like to put things on these lower shelves. These don't technically have a slot on them, but you can put them on there. So what you want to do is you're going to press your Control key and hit 9. That's going to raise these magazines up to where you need them. Make sure they're not floating in the air, and then lock them. Then what you'll do is, once again, grab your table, move it over here. Then pressing your Alt key again, this over here we can see it a little bit better. You're going to grab these magazines, put them underneath. Now from up here it looks like a mess. There it looks kind of weird, but once you grab your table and pop it back into place, you have magazines on the lower rack, and you have all your table clutter on top. Same kind of thing with a coffee table. There's only so many slots on a coffee table, right? And sometimes it's hard to get things to place. So what you'll do is if you want something, so say we want a light of candles in the middle of the table, which is actually one of my favorite things. You will go over and grab your candle lights. All right, I love these. So I want them in the center. That's fine. They can stay there in the center. Leave them right there in the center, but we're going to turn them a little bit. But also, see, you want these things on the table too, but they're going to snap into it. What you do, same principle again. Snap them on the table. Matter of fact, we can put all these clutter items on the table. Then we'll move the table away. Grab that in the center. Grab this off to the side. Make sure your things aren't touching into each other. Nail. magazines. Then when you come back to place the coffee table, everything will fit. Everything is on the coffee table. None of it's floating. So far, that is the end table and the coffee table. Now we're going to move on to the mantle. Now you might say, well, some things slot automatically to the mantle. Yes. But if you have more than 3 things that you want up here, like I want this up here, I also want this up here. So see, now they won't slot. So what you do is you just find out which one you want in the middle, which we're going to put our flowers in the middle. And see, once you have your move objects on, these things will stay at the height that you need them. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove our fireplace. Just remember that the middle line right here is the middle. So you go grab your flowers. Sometimes I put things into the wall and then drag them back out just so I can see where they're at. All right, you want to grab this. I want this one up there, but it's not, as you notice, it's not slotting because it's not made for, it's actually really big. I sized it down using the brackets. Okay, so that's where I'm going to want it, that height. So then I'll bring it over here, place it, put this up here so it gets the correct height, grab it. Sometimes I move my things in just to make sure they're right. And see now, like this one, that dinosaur thing ends up being a little too big. What we'll do is and now you have all 3 of those things on your mantle. Nothing's floating. They're all in place. But you can also go ahead and add other things, like for instance, I want more clutter because clutter is your friend. So I'm going to grab this, scoot it over as close to that as possible, scoot this over as close as possible, grab our little Chinese figurine for the Chinese New Year, that bad boy on there like that. You put your mantle back into place. You have all of your clutter items that you want on your mantle. It's kind of the same principle for bookcases as well, but I'll give you guys another show you how. I like these little boxes here, and sometimes I like to put them on top of the cabinets, but notice they don't snap in. So what you can do is you just press your control key, press 9. All right, and then you press and hold Alt, and you get anywhere you'd like on top of there. Now see how that one's floating a little bit? Some things will float because they're not technically designed. But what I do in this case is grab them, hit your control 9 or your control 0 key. It will sink in a little bit, but you will not notice it as long as the item is fairly the shelf that you're putting it on. This over here, grab this one. This is another thing I want to put on there. Notice it doesn't slot because this is actually this big thing, but I've sized it down. Control 9. Alt. See? And now you have clutter on top of your shelf that normally you wouldn't have. Like these shelves only have 2 slots, but I want multiple things on them. Go ahead and put all these things right here. See, now this one won't clip. So what you do is move your bookcase. Put that one on your shelf so you have the correct height. Now when you put your bookcase back in, everything's on the shelf. Now this is into the shelf a little bit, but we're not going to fix that right now. But I just want to kind of show you guys. Have that in there. Oh. Okay, another one I like to do is in the bathroom, because in a lot of homes in real life, you're going to have like your toothbrush and your soap and stuff right here on the sink. Notice, none of these clip in. What you want to do is get them as close as you can so you can see what you're doing. Get your control key, your control 9, press your alt key, place. Oh, same thing with this one. Roll 9. That one's sitting on there as well. Like I said, you know, these are just some things I like to do to my sim houses to make them feel a little bit more lifelike and a little bit more homey. Okay, next we're going to move on to kitchen clutter. This is a big request I have because I always like to put things on top of these cabinets here, and I like to put things on these shelves that don't necessarily belong. But let's start with something simple, okay? Like in most homes, well, especially here in America, you usually have your paper towels like right here by the sink, or you have your soap right here. Well, let's go ahead and grab our paper towels and see where they go. Okay, look, they're gonna go in these places. Who has their paper towels just sitting out in the middle of the counter like that? What you're gonna do, drop that one there like that. Drop this one on a counter like this. Now for this, you're gonna need to remove this section of counter out. Move this section of counter out. Press your Alt key. Sometimes you have to move your other sections of counter out too, but that's okay. Just remember to kind of keep your eye on the squares on the bottom so you kind of know where you're going to put. You may have to play around with this a little bit to get it to work right for you. Sometimes you can get lucky and you can get it put in place without putting it. See, now I have that soap too close, so we'll move that out. It all depends on your angle too. Right, now see? Now you have your soap dish where you need it to be. Your paper towel. And then you want to add some more clutter. So we're going to add one of these. One of my favorite decorations. Throw some cookbooks out here. Who doesn't need to help every now and then on how to cook? Throw these out here. Now again, these are like the normal slots. But that's not always where you want that to be. We're gonna do same thing again. Our corner cabinet, bar section. Press our Alt key. Now sometimes, depending on what angles you're doing, items are going to try to clip. I don't want to change your angle or move out some more pieces of the cabinet. That's what I do. This one out. Drop our bread box on. Same with our knife block. Drop it anywhere on the counter. Get in the right spot. Fire hazard. All right, now next. Now the shelves, notice these things are not, they're not slotted for the shelf. So again, press your Control key, then press your 9. Alt key. Grab another one. Control 9. Alt key. Control 9. Alt key. Let's throw our kitchen back together. Now see, we have all this clutter and everything's good to go. Everything's where it should be. Now see how I move that counter out. The reason I move that counter out when I put these up here is because if you grab one of these and you try to place it on these shelves, it won't allow you to hit Control 9. See, I'm hitting Control 9 now and it's not raising, so you have to move that counter out in order to get the... I'll show you with these pots and pans. See, they don't even clip up here. So what we'll do, our counters out, Control 9, Alt, stick wall. Then, like for instance, same thing with this one. Doesn't even clip up to the shelves. Control 9, Alt. Again, change our angle so it doesn't clip to the countertop. See, the books won't even go up there. Control 9, Alt, counters back. You've got clutter, friends. You've got clutter. Another thing I like to do this for is like, see these little spice racks right here? I like to have them on my counter, but I don't like them out in the middle. I mean, who has their stuff out in the middle? What I do is I place all three of the ones I want up there. Move the counter out. Change our angle. Counter out. Press your Alt key. Or Alt key. Place. Sometimes these are a little hard to line up. Alt key. Place. Then have these little countertop. Alt. Countertop back. Your clutter's not in the middle of the countertops. Yay! All right, the last one I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so we are going to put all of this stuff up on top of these counters. But watch this. Goes to the countertop. Can't raise it. Do is pull the cabinet out. Control 9. A little smaller. Alt key. Place. Same thing with this one. Control 9. All right, then you're going to press the Control 9 key. Alt. See that? They're a little floaty, but we'll fix that in just a minute. So you got your pig. Control 9. Alt. Control 9 again. Alt. Control 9. Alt. This. Control 9. Control 9. Control 9. We'll never forget after this tutorial. Control 9. Alt key. That one's placed. This one. Control 9. Control 9. Control 9. Control 9. Alt key. All right, then we'll go ahead and replace counters. Guys, see how everything's floating a little? Press and hold your Alt key. Raise the cabinets up just a smidge. Just like that, your kitchen is fully cluttered. Fully cluttered. So remember, on this tutorial, your control key and your 9 key and your 0 key are going to be your best friend. Don't forget to turn those cheat codes on. Testing teach true. BB.move objects on. And if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and hit that like or share button, and I'll see you in the future. Thanks for watching.